So hello everyone and welcome to the webinar From Education to Impact, ESMT Graduates Leading Social Change. I'm Mariana Macedo, Marketing Manager at ESMT, and today I'm joined by Flavia Risato, our Social Impact Program Manager, and three of our former students and current Responsible Leader Fellows, Jack, Tudor, and Mohan. So thank you very much for joining. So before we start with the most interesting part, which is the Q&A with the students, we will do a short presentation of ESMT, the different programs that we offer, and then Flavia will also talk a little bit about what the Responsible Leaders Fellowship is, who can join, how it works, and in the meantime, during the presentation, if you have any question, you can already type in your questions in the Q&A section, which is probably at the bottom of your screen. And yeah, I will just share my presentation and we can get started. So ESMT Berlin is a school located in the center of Berlin, in the center of Germany. We are triple accredited. We are part of the 1% of the business schools that are accredited by these institutions that you can see on the bottom of your screen. And our mission is from the heart of Europe, we create and impart new knowledge to advance business and society. We develop entrepreneurial leaders who think globally and act responsibly. And definitely the Responsible Leaders Fellowship is aligned with this mission. So here you can have a look at the companies that founded ESMT around 22 years ago. And the ESMT difference. So of course, there are a lot of business schools of really good quality, but what makes ESMT different? So we have a very modern and relevant curricula with opportunities to tailor each program to your interests. So there's a lot of electives and other options that you can choose to create the program that you need for your career. We have a very international focus. So for all of our master's and MBA programs, we have over 60 to 70% of students coming from different countries outside of Germany, outside of Europe, so throughout the 5 continents. We also have a very strong career development center that will support you in your career goals. So there is leadership development embedded in all the programs. We have a very strong focus on career and networking, and you can build experience with real-world consulting projects. And the Responsible Leaders Fellowship also is embedded in that. So ESMT is Germany's leading business school that we are very engaged with our alumni network. So when you join any program, you are part of our community forever. So you get to interact with students and alumni coming from different industry backgrounds, different cultures, and different countries. And we are founded by business. Now, talking a little bit about the programs, we currently offer 3 masters and 4 MBA programs. We have the Master in Global Management, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and also Analytics and AI. They all have the duration of 2 years. They start in September, and they target young professionals who just graduated or have up to 2 years of work experience. Now, if you have more than 3 years of work experience, you already been working for a while, you're more mid to senior level, you can join one of our MBA programs. Currently, we offer the full-time MBA, which is 15 months of duration, starting in January. We have the part-time MBA that is delivered in a hybrid format, so you will have partial online and partial in-person studies in Berlin. Starting in September with the duration of 2 years. We have the Global Online MBA. So this is a program created to be 100% online, but we have in-person electives. We have 2 intakes, one of them starting in May. We still have the applications open until this weekend. So if you're interested in starting soon, you need to hurry up. Otherwise, you can also join the class in September. And we have the Executive MBA, which is a program for professionals with more than 7 years of work experience, starting in October with the duration of 18 months. Here, talking a little bit about the Career Development Center. So this is a department that will support all of our students with an emphasis on the full-time MBA and Master students, because they are full-time students, so they are currently not working to do the programs. They will receive all the support from the Career Development Center with workshops, with company visits, with alumni panels, and the annual career fair that takes place both in person and online for the global online MBA students. Here you can have an overview of some of the companies that have been present in the last editions of the career fair. And now I'll hand it over to Flavia to talk about the Responsible Leaders Fellowship.
Hi, thank you, Mariana. All right, so welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. So my name is Flavia, and I am the manager of the Social Impact Programs at ESMT Berlin. So obviously the Responsible Leaders Fellowships is one of our social impact programs. I would say one of the most important, and one where, you know, I focus myself the most as well. I've been in this job for about 2 years, so I'm very excited now to tell you a little bit about it. What's the idea? How does it work? And also give you some examples of the projects that we've been running in the past, the type of cooperations that we have for the Responsible Leaders Fellowship, and then of course, like, leave the space to our 3 fellows who are present here today, who I was very happy to work with in the realm of the Responsible Leaders Fellowship for the past 6 months. So, yeah. All right. So what is the Responsible Leaders Fellowship? So basically, this program was really created to give Masters and MBA students who graduate from ESMT a chance to apply their education and their skills that they've learned at ESMT, but also the skills from their previous work experience, to support organizations which are driving social impact, especially in the Global South. So the fellows is basically a pro bono consultant who joins an organization for up to 6 months in the Global South. This can be a number of different organizations. The idea is not only for you to support the organization, but as I've seen in the past, this is also like a great chance for a lot of students to maybe tip their toes into a particular sectors that they are interested about. So for example, this can be social entrepreneurship or impact investment. So there is really it is really a great opportunity for students who are interested in exploring these different areas, which are, you know, not your typical corporate job. This is really like an easy opportunity to say, okay, I want to explore this area, and the fellowship is the perfect, really, I would say, the perfect environment to do that and to try it out. So basically, the fellowships always starts after graduation. So once you have completed either your master programs or your MBA programs at ESMT, you're eligible to apply for the Responsible Leaders Fellowship. We always encourage students to stay a minimum of 4 months. The maximum duration of the program is 6 months. From my experience, students tend to stay for the whole duration of the program, because that is really the time that you need to really, dedicate yourself to an organization in a proper manner. For master students, obviously the graduation is in September, so students tend to leave around the beginning of October. While for a full-time MBA, the departure will be around May of each year, as the graduation is towards the end of April. So what are the target organizations of the RLF? Of course, NGOs are first in the list. These are normally the most sought after type of organizations for our Responsible Leaders Fellows. We also have had a number of fellowship with international organizations. I've left here a few names of organizations we have worked with in the past. We worked a lot with the UNDP. We had a number of fellowships with them, United Nations, WWF, and yeah, many others. And then obviously, I think what is kind of interesting is that we have started working with a number of social enterprises. So this is not your typical NGOs, but it's still an organization which is driving impact, but also as a for-profit branch, which actually makes it more sustainable. And we've seen a lot of examples of students like Tudor, for example, working in this type of organizations. And I think that this is really something that it's starting to gain a lot of momentum among our fellows, and it's a very relevant type of sphere to explore. So how does it work? So no, wait. Obviously, we support our fellows financially. So we are funded by two donors, two group of donors. So one is the Friends of ESMT, which are basically private and corporate donors of our school. And as well, the B&W is involved in a number of our projects, and they support the students financially as well. So I will explain a bit later about this type of cooperation that we're having with the B&W. We, of course, finance the flights of the students, their health insurance, any visa-related expenses, and we provide them with a stipend, which is currently €1,000 per month. This is calculated, obviously, keep in mind, for financing a lifestyle in ideally the global south. We know it's not really high, but generally we see that the students have mostly managed to survive on this stipend. The partner organizations can be self-sourced. So if any student has a particular area in mind, already knows an organization that they would like to work with, they're very welcome to bring a project proposal themselves. Of course, at this point, I have a really large database of organizations that we worked with in the past. So students are welcome to consult it and ask for contact for me to establish contact with the organizations directly. And then, of course, I always have open project proposals. So as I said, I have a really large network of partner organizations. So very often they reach out to me and they ask me to find students to work on some particular project. So the opportunities are there. And also, of course, the organizations are very happy to welcome the students. And then, of course, there is both logistical support and also organizational support from my side, and also in terms of designing your project and implementing it, and regular catch-up calls and support throughout your mission is always provided by my side. Right, so just to give you a little idea of the scale of the RLF at this point, since the RLF started in 2012, so since then we've had 98 Responsible Leaders Fellows from ESMT. We have supported 66 partner organizations worldwide. As you can see from the map, we've reached many different areas and continents. So a lot of projects in Latin America, Central America, a lot of projects in Africa, Southeast Asia also is an area where our students have traveled to a lot. And actually, we've also had quite a lot of students working with the different NGOs, like MOAN, for example, in Europe. So this is not discouraged, of course. The RLF can be done anywhere. Okay. So, and then, I mean, I brought these three examples because I think it gives you really a good idea of, you know, what this program can look like, and also it really puts it into perspective that this is not just a little voluntary time abroad, but it can really bring something to your career if you're excited about working in the social impact sphere. So I think the first example, of course, is our star alumni, Michael Tekavi. He was a fellow in 2022. He joined his organization called Kubik, which is basically a startup based in Ethiopia. Now they've been expanding to other regions of Africa, where they're basically producing, creating building material from recycled plastic. So what's really interesting is that Mike joined the organizations as a Responsible Leaders Fellows as their third company employee. And I mean, since he joined, of course, he did an amazing job. He raised $800,000 in investment. He launched different programs in collaboration with the GIZ. and now is actually the COO of Kubik. So right after his fellowship, they have asked him to stay on, and he's still working there. And I mean, you can follow him on LinkedIn. He's doing a lot of amazing job, and their company is growing a lot, also hiring a lot of people. And we have nominated him for the Financial Times Responsible Business Education Award, which he actually was the winner for. So this is actually, yeah, I think one of the most exciting stories from our Responsible Leaders Fellowship. The second example is just to give you an idea of how we nurture also a relationship with the partner organizations that we work with. So in 2022, our alumna from the Master in Management joined Ampersand, which was basically at the time, now I don't know anymore, the first electric transport energy company in Africa. She joined them in Rwanda. Now they have actually expanded to 3 different regions of Kenya. And yeah, since she joined them, actually, like, this project gained a lot of momentum within our community. So since then, we have been implementing 3 different projects with the startup. And in 2023, so actually last year, our students have supported their expansion from Rwanda to Kenya. So I think this is really a good example to, give you an idea also that the impact doesn't stop with one fellowships, but actually it's carried on from other students in the community. So I think, and this is something that we really strive for, that students pick up where other students have left, so that we can really increase and expand the impact that we are doing with the different companies and startups and NGOs we're working with. And then, yeah, just to give you then the last example of the type of partnership that we're working with for the Responsible Leaders Fellowship. Yeah, basically we are working with the BNW and the UNAOC, which is the United Nations Alliance of Civilizations, in the context of the Intercultural Innovation Hub. So this is, it's an award that it's given by the BNW in collaboration with the United Nations each year, where 10 grassroots organizations across the world are selected for basically a number of capacity building, of course, financial contributions. And one of the, basically benefits of joining this award is that these organizations that are selected get to work with our students. So the BNW is basically financing ESMT students to work with the selected grassroots organizations from this award. This partnership has been going on for 3 years. We have basically had 14 students serving in the context of this partnership. Very interesting and very successful project. And yeah, we are gonna keep going. So if you are gonna be a fellow, you will also get the opportunity to work on with the Intercultural Innovation Hub awardees. And that would be it from me.
Thank you very much, Flavia. So if you have any questions that we cannot cover during the session here today, we can also get in touch with us via this email that you can see on the screen. You can ask anything about the programs, admissions process, scholarships, and also the Responsible Leader Fellowship. So thank you very much, Flavia, for the presentation. And now we can get started with the Q&A session. So first of all, let's do a quick introduction. So Tudor, Mohan, and Jack, if you can give us a quick introduction, which program you have completed, where are you currently at or you've been during your fellowship, and in which field were you working?
Shall I start? Sure. Okay. Hi. Yeah, my name is Jack Galloway, and I completed the GAMBA program last November. That's the Global Online MBA program, which is a part-time program, and I was working full-time. I quit my job, and I've moved in January to Tanzania, where I am now. I work as a strategy and social impact consultant at an educational nonprofit. Basically a school, a big school, 3,000 students, and it serves kind of like the poorest kids in the region where I'm now. And yeah, that's about it for me. Maybe I'll hand it on to Tudor.
Thanks, Jack. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tudor. I graduated actually last month from the Master's in Management with a focus on innovation and entrepreneurship. I was born in Romania. I did my bachelor's in Switzerland in hotel management. And while I was studying there and working in internships, I realized that innovation has the power to change positively work environments. So that's when I decided to continue my studies, move to Berlin. I started the course in 2021 in September. And after the SIP project, Social Impact Project, which we did in Senegal with a group of 5 other students, I wanted to continue working in social work, so I decided to do the RLF. And it was an incredible experience. I worked in Campinas in Brazil with a organization called 2.5 Ventures as a venture builder analyst. And yeah, happy to discuss and further details afterwards. Mohan, pass the ball to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so hello, my name is Mohan. I'm actually one of Tudor's classmate. We both pursued the same program at ESMT, which is the Masters in Management program, started in September 2021. And yeah, after finishing the formal education, and again, as Tudor mentioned, I think the social impact project, finishing all of that, I think it really set a very good foundation, and it really inspired me to take up the Responsible Leaders Fellowship. And I pursued my RLF with the Cyber Peace Institute. So this is an NGO which is located in Geneva in Switzerland, and they mainly work towards protecting the most vulnerable nonprofit organizations across the globe, especially in the cyberspace. And I mainly collaborated with them as a part of their threat intelligence and analytics teams, more to work on the data analytics and intelligence side. And also to add, that was also my specialization as a part of the master's program. So yeah, that's about me, and happy to discuss more.
Thank you very much. So I will start with a question for the 3 of you, or whoever wants to join first to talk about it. So how was the overall experience being abroad? So what did you get, not only professionally but personally? So if you had any interesting learnings or skills or experiences that you would like to share.
You want me to start again, Mariana? Sure, because I have a lot to say on that one, and I'm still here, so I guess the learning continues. But I mean, obviously, in the context of my work, going into a new organization that really needed my expertise and where it was valued, it gave me a lot of confidence. And I think also, somewhere on the slides it said, you're using your freshly acquired knowledge. It's still fresh for me, and I think by using it and practicing it, maybe it sinks in a little bit deeper. So that's one thing. But the other great thing that's happened to me in the last months is that I've gotten to learn a new part of the world entirely, a beautiful part of the world and very different. And it's not been winter here. And people have really embraced me, and I've tried to embrace all of the possibilities of just, having 6 months of your life, taking a break from this kind of conveyor belt of school career, and taking a step away. A lot of the distractions from my home in Germany are gone, so I can kind of reset, I think. And yeah, that I've had a lot of fun, and I feel like energized at the prospect of returning back to Europe. Maybe I'll hand that then to Tudor. Yeah.
Thanks, Jack. And yeah, I'll say that similar to Jack's point about confidence, I believe that jumping outside of my comfort zone, and as Jack mentioned, discovering a new part of the world. It was the first time I arrived in South America when the project started, and first time in Brazil as well. I was fascinated about the culture, about how I was welcomed by my colleagues. And one of my objectives was learning a new language when I was looking for opportunities together with Flavia. And I believe that by learning about a new culture, learning the language, and discovering new perspective of looking at both at the business world and impact, as the organization was only focused on impact work, developed me and taught me about a new perspective of the world, but in the same time, a new perspective about myself. That helped a lot. And just by working with new nationalities and at the same time a new industry helped me develop my work, and at the same time helped me learn faster skills. And I believe it also helped me to know more about my journey and what I'll head now after the ILF. Moha, would you like to
Sure.
continue?
Yeah, I think mine was actually, my project was a little different. It was more of a hybrid project, I would say. And that way, thanks to Flavia and ESMT, because as mentioned initially, the part of the presentation, they also kind of fund your travel. So I was able to participate, travel to Geneva for a good amount of time, but also had mostly collaborated remotely from Berlin. But I think when I was there, as Tudor and Jack mentioned, I think it was a very different world that I got to be a part of as well, especially in terms of domain. Firstly, because I really didn't have any experience working with cybersecurity as such. But I think when I moved there, I got to learn a lot. Technical skills, professional skills about the whole domain and how it all operates. And also, as mentioned, it was a very, very multicultural environment. But also, I think the opportunity where I got to work with most of the employees at the organizations were coming from an NGO background. So I think interacting with them, it was very rich interactions, and where they were bringing completely different perspectives. And also in terms of impact, I must say that especially most of my previous experiences were in very large organizations, and when you're working on different tasks and projects, I think here in such situations where you're working with NGOs, I think the impact is firstly much more visible, and I think it's also the possibilities are unlimited is what I feel, because they're very flexible, and I think that way is it's been a life-changing experience which I could only recommend to everybody.
That's great. Thank you very much. And talking about the language, I know that Tudor, we had a quick chat in Portuguese, and I know he really made a huge progress in 6 months. So we can really see how the impact of the project is for your lives. That's really cool. So now following up on what Mohan said, we got a question that maybe Flavia can answer. If all the students go to the country where the relevant organizations are placed, or if there's some work remotely. So Mohan touched a little bit upon that, but Flavia, if you want to complement.
Right, so we have a bit of a demand for a remote project. So obviously most of the students will travel to the country and to the receiving organizations and work there in person. But then, of course, like for example, with Mohan, he was working in Geneva, and obviously Geneva is very expensive and too expensive to live in with a tiny stipend. So we thought, it would have been better for him to work remotely from Berlin. And also some students obviously have a commitment. Some other students, especially when they're a bit older, they have families, they cannot really leave. So we do have a number of students working remotely, though normally students prefer to travel to the country.
Okay, thank you very much. Now that we talked about the good part of the fellowship and the traveling and the different cultures, we can talk a little bit about the challenges. So did you have did you experience any challenge during traveling? Also, Flavia, if you remember other examples from previous years, and how ESMT helps the students also to overcome this, because I'm sure that it must be a big change just moving to a new country, maybe that you've never been before, maybe that you don't speak the language, and immersing yourself in a new culture. It's really cool, but it can also be a bit scary. So if we can share a little bit about this aspect of the program as well.
Yeah, happy to start about that a bit. So first of all, Flavia helped me a lot. She also did some projects in South America. She traveled in Brazil as well. So she was the first person to receive some tips from. Thank you for that. And I will say that first help is about the insurances, that university covers the insurance as well. And then as I arrived there, I was lucky to receive help from the organization as well regarding the rent. And they were the first people to introduce me to the culture, which helped me. And one first challenge was with the language, as my project was in English, but we still had some team members that were learning English, but that helped me as well, as they could practice English and I could practice Portuguese with them. And second challenge was related to the new skills that I had to build, which then turned into an opportunity as well. In the first part of the project, I had to help the development of a platform for the impact organization. Their objective was to research if it would be a good opportunity both for the organization and for the startups, for the impact startups, to have a platform that unifies the services offered by the organization. So I was it was a bit of a challenge to identify the data and all the resources to create a type of market analysis for this. And then I also had to dive deeper into financial analysis and modeling, which were new skills that I developed during the project. Would you like to continue, Mohan?
Yeah, sure. I think I also had a couple of challenges, especially I think the first one comes because most of my collaboration was remote. Also, there comes a challenge. But I think one good aspect, again, thanks to Flavia for making this possible, is I was able to travel to Geneva, and I was able to travel and meet all of the employees right before my start. So I actually it was possible for me to go there twice. I think once I did it at the start and once more towards the closure, where I wanted to submit and present all the findings and yeah. So those were the two times I flight down, and I think the first visit really helped me a lot because I got to meet everybody in person, and I really was there for and yeah, I think I was just lucky that there was also a workshop that the institute held right in September. So because of that, most of the employees or people who were participating there were really there. So I think I got to meet them, I got to interact with them. So my first day was already a couple of weeks before my actual first day. So I think that helped me a lot. But otherwise, I think also on the topics that I associated with mostly, which was data analytics, working on building intelligence, building dashboards and reporting systems. So that way, I think it was still possible. And also one more challenge come advantage, the whole institute was spread across the globe. I mean, though the headquarters was in Geneva, Switzerland, but I'd say almost 60 to 70% of the organization was pretty spread out, even outside Europe. So I think that way the challenge, as Tudor mentioned, has turned opportunities where we used to kind of keep some time out to kind of have some casual interactions as well in between work. So I think that for me biggest, and the second biggest challenge was, yeah, again, more, I was there, not really there for a very long time. It was close to 2 to 3 weeks that I was there at the start and all combined. But when I was there, I think again, a new place, new culture, still in Europe, not very different in terms of timings, I would say, but otherwise as well, I think the institute and employees there, they really helped me a lot in getting, not only exploring the place, but also kind of exposing me to the culture, what to eat right, and how to really do it right in Geneva. So yeah. Jack, if there's anything from your end.
Yeah, I guess my experience heading to East Africa is different from Geneva, but not totally different. I mean, I had to get, I think, 1,000 euros worth of shots before I went, which Flavia also very kindly reimbursed me. But it was the first, I kind of woke up to the fact that, yeah, I'm going to a totally different place, and, you know, things do happen. I've been totally safe and happy and healthy, knock on wood, the whole time. And I think part of that, I mean, I got lucky guy, but you know, I really thought carefully about the organization that I chose and the project. And I think one of the biggest criteria was, does this place seem like they're, you know, well organized to accommodate me? Because there are great organizations doing all kind of work all over the world. I would say a lot of NGOs that I've come across are a little bit chaotic in the way they communicate, in their ideas about, you know, onboarding staff and stuff like that. So just knowing that there were people here who were responding to me and kind of explaining to me in advance how they envision things, that made me feel confident, and it helped me make my choice. I had another choice. I think the project was more interesting, but they basically said, yeah, just show up here on this date and then we'll just get started. And I said, okay, but you know, some more information would be helpful. I opted for this place because they were just better organized, and I think that's probably good advice that Flavia will give to anybody. Yeah, I guess so. I've had a really positive experience, and I think we could talk about challenges within the work itself if you want to go there, Mariana. Yeah, sure. Okay. I think so. I came in as an outsider, as one of the few non-Tanzanians in this organization, which means I think I did have fresh eyes, and I was able to identify places. And I'm working in the social impact and strategy team, places where the organization was not maximizing its impact, is not maximizing its impact, or even having maybe a negative impact. And part of that is also the organization is founded by an Australian woman. There's a lot of kind of colonial mindset happening in this organization, and those things are very hard to change. And that's frustrating. And it's also frustrating to the people in the organization who see that as well. So yeah, that's tough. And obviously I'm not able to like turn the organization on its head in 5-6 months. But what we did is, you know, I kind of sought out those allies, the people who kind of have those ideas already, and they've been working here a long time, and we got together and we've been strategizing and coming up with projects that they will get through the layers of organizational politics, but they will have an impact trying to move the needle away from the status quo. And so, you know, you win some and you lose some, you're frustrated. But I think that's also an advantage of having a defined amount of time at an organization. You know, you can go in, you can be realistic, and someday you're going to leave, right? And you hope that you've made some positive impact. And I feel that way about my work here. It hasn't all been, you know, roses from the day one, but I certainly know a lot, and I think, you know, I've delivered a lot of bad news to the organization, and I think they're waking up to some things as well. So
yeah, that's
I'll
very
pass it back to
interesting.
you. Yeah,
it's not all roses, I think, in any job, but that's interesting to hear, because usually the students have experience maybe in bigger corporations where they have all the processes established, and entering a place that maybe it's still trying to figure things out and still creating process, and yeah, it's a great challenge, but also a great opportunity to put your knowledge to practice, and to see what is feasible or not. So that's really interesting to hear. And now a question to Flavia. Career after, we touched upon a couple of examples, but what do you see from students who have gone through the fellowship afterwards, in terms of career, not only industries that they go for, but also overall their satisfaction with their career afterwards?
Well, so we have a number of alumni, so not only Mike, the example that I brought up before, who are still working with the organizations that they did the RLF before. So we have different alumni who are now directors of the organization. So this is obviously a possibility. It's not always the case. Generally, the feedback that I've received from the students is that the RLF is actually a very good little item to have on their CVs. Because when they, their future employer, they look at their CVs and then they see that they actually have someone who cares and is also try to go a little bit out of its comfort zone and didn't go straight to its corporate job, but actually explored a little bit of a different setting. And actually, like, it speaks a lot about a person when they have this type of experience on their CVs. So this is what I've heard a lot from the students, that they have received very positive feedback from future and current employers when they looked at this experience on their CVs. What I see now, actually, as I was discussing also earlier, is that students are going to the RLF because they're actually very interested in such an impact sphere. So they're actually, maybe you don't have the classic MBA students that you had maybe 10 or 15 years ago, because the world is also changing a lot. And people are more interested in sustainability, and people are more interested in injustice and wealth distribution, and how do we change the world that we're living in. So there is actually, I think the RLF is a good start for a lot of students who are interested in these particular topics to get some first-hand experience and see if actually they can see themselves working in these spheres, and if they can, what they can learn from it. And maybe some students are completely, I mean, it's very interesting because you see both students who come back from this experience and like, okay, I absolutely want to stay in this space, and this is the direction that my career is taking. And then also you have some students who are like, wow, NGOs are hell. I don't ever want to work in an NGO, give me a corporate job. So you have a bit of both, I would say. Yeah, it's always an individual experience, of course.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And for the prospective students that are watching us right now, can anyone from any of the master's and MBA programs apply for the fellowship, or we only attend specific programs?
Yeah, so mostly we have masters and full-time MBA students going to do the responsibility as fellows. We have actually Jack here, who is a good example. He's the first GOMBA graduate to do the fellowship. We have opened the program to all MBA graduates. So it's full-time, part-time, executive, and global online MBAs. I haven't had many applications yet because we just opened the program this year, and obviously the profiles of students coming from those type of part-time or online MBAs is a bit different from students who are actually, studying full-time, and they have sometimes people have jobs and they cannot just leave for 6 months to work in NGOs in Latin America or something. But yes, the program is open to everyone, from any graduates from ESMT.
That's nice. So we are approaching the end of our webinar. So if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you would like to add to the conversation before we say goodbye, now is the time. Otherwise, because we received a couple of questions here that are more focused on the programs, but we do have some webinars that explain in detail each MBA program and each master programs and the difference between them. So today we are only talking about the fellowship itself, but feel free to contact us also if you have any question about the programs after the webinar. All right, so that's it. Thank you very much for all the participants who joined us today. Thank you, Flavia, Tudor, Mohan, and Jack. It was great hearing about your experiences and knowing that there is so much space for the graduates to explore their careers and also expand their horizons, not only food-wise, but language, career, and so on. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
See you back in Berlin. Bye-bye.
See ya.